College students that have to work through school are known for having to live cheap. That's especially the case here in Texas, where there's the most number of minimum wage workers in the United States. And at $7.25, the minimum wage here in Texas is tied for the lowest in the country. Intramurals give every Texas State student a chance to compete in a safe and regulated environment and face a level of competition they might not be used to or might prefer over just playing with their friends. Hugo Chavez is dead after losing a battle with cancer. Chavez has served as president of Venezuela since 1999. He attracted notoriety by allying himself with countries like Iran and Cuba.
Prices keep going up, but the minimum wage, which many students are paid, has remained steady for several years. It can be a struggle for those who are trying to make ends meet. Lane Lewis has more in this Bobcat update.
College students that have to work through school are known for having to live cheap. That's especially the case here in Texas, where there's the most number of minimum wage workers in the United States. And at $7.25, the minimum wage here in Texas is tied for the lowest in the country. Students and non-students alike have to worry about rent, buying food, and rising gas prices. Being paid the minimum wage comes to about $15,000 a year. That's not much for sustaining a family.
If you've got a typical, let's say, four-person family, husband, wife, two children, $15,000 is not going to go very far. On the other hand, in a lot of those cases, you're going to have both parents that are working, and so if both parents are working, then you're over the poverty line, making about $30,000 a year. Students have it a little easier than a family would, but they still struggle.
People want to go out and have a good time, but they've got to pay their bills and stuff, and when you're living on a small salary, it gets pretty bad sometimes.
Working on campus can be easier and more convenient for anyone being paid the minimum wage. It helps save on gas money if commute times are reduced. The government isn't likely to raise the minimum wage anytime soon due to reasons like inflation. But there are other options that, while less convenient, may pay more than the minimum wage. For Bobcat Update, I'm Lane Lewis. It's the last week of February, which means campus intramurals are in full swing. The basketball season is halfway through while the softball season is just now getting underway. Campus Recreation is reporting a record number of participants.
Every year grows, we always try to market it better and better every year. We get, every year we're increasing numbers throughout men's leagues, Greek life leagues, and we also push a lot for the women's leagues because we always, we're trying to keep people active and have a good time.
Intramurals give every Texas State student a chance to compete in a safe and regulated environment and face a level of competition they might not be used to or might prefer over just playing with their friends.
It's real crazy out there. When we play, especially rival fraternities, we have big crowds and it gets real competitive, and everyone's yelling at the top of their lungs, so it gets crazy out there, but it's fun.
In addition to being a fun way to spend time with friends, intramurals can be a great source of exercise and a way to meet new people. For Bobcat Update, I'm Lane Lewis. Texas State is buckling down on security during spring break. The University Police Department says locking your doors is the first and often overlooked step in preventing theft. About 95% of the thefts on campus result from unforced entry. UPD would also like to encourage anyone leaving their vehicles on campus next week to take advantage of the spring break program. Anyone with a valid Texas State parking permit can park in the Wood Street parking garage from noon on Friday until Monday, March 18th at 7 a.m. Working from home in your PJs is quickly becoming a less viable option than originally thought. Just a week after Yahoo announced the end of its work-from-home program, Best Buy announced that it too is ending its flexible work schedule. Like Yahoo, Best Buy has fallen on hard times, and its executives say they need all hands on deck, with only a few exceptions. Best Buy says only some of its 4,000 non-store workers will be allowed to telecommute, as long as they have manager approval. Gun sales are up, which means earnings are up for those who make them. Smith & Wesson reports that its earnings more than tripled in the most recent quarter. The company says sales jumped 39% and it earned $17.5 million in the quarter that ended January 31st. Pistols and sporting rifles have sold especially well in recent months. CEO James Debney says the results were driven by what he called a robust consumer demand for firearms. Some students say it's a challenge for them to find healthy food options on campus. When Commons and Harris dining halls are closed, the options are more limited, especially for vegetarians. Chartwell's manages food services on campus, and in recent weeks it has expanded its options. You can learn more about which vegetarian foods that Chartwell's offers by logging onto its website. According to several House Republican sources, House Budget Committee Chairman Paul Ryan is considering dramatic changes to Medicare as part of his budget plan for next year. Ryan could be on the verge of reigniting another political firestorm over Medicare. Sources say the proposal could include changing the entitlement program for people who are currently 57 and older. That's despite a Republican pledge made last year to avoid changes for anyone who has already reached the age of 55. Hugo Chavez is dead after losing a battle with cancer. Chavez has served as president of Venezuela since 1999. He attracted notoriety by allying himself with countries like Iran and Cuba. Chavez was beloved by many of his countrymen, especially the poor who helped elect him to 3 terms as head of state. However, many Venezuelan immigrants are celebrating his death. As many as 190,000 immigrants live in the United States. He died Tuesday at the age of 58.